Welcome to A Married Perspective with Judge Derwin Webb. I am Judge Derwin Webb, coming to you from the Fraser History Museum. You know, it's great to be in a museum like this because we've changed some things up just a little bit. Normally we are in the Order of the Written Room, but we have been moved around to a different spot because they have facilities that can accommodate things like this. We have a special guest on for today. We have a special guest that needs no introduction. Our special guest today is the Honorable Victor Cole. Victor Cole, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate you for having me.
Now, you are the owner of the Louisville Extreme football team. Tell us a little bit about that team.
Okay, so like you said, I'm the owner of the Louisville Extreme Arena football team, and this is our first season that'll be starting here in Louisville at the KFC Yum Center, downtown Louisville. And we have an exciting season coming up. We play in the IFL, the Indoor Football League, which is a nationwide league. We have teams from coast to coast, going from Boston all the way to California. And we have about 16 games, regular season games that'll be played this season, 8 home, 8 away. And we just, have a really exciting schedule lined up.
Well, I know that this is something that's not necessarily new to Louisville, but new to you. But you have a pretty diverse background. I looked at your resume. I know that you are part military. You have a military background. Tell us some things about your military background before we get into your athletic background, because I know you were an athlete at one time as well. So tell us about that.
Okay, so I've been in the Kentucky Air National Guard for 16 years now. I'm still in. I've started off doing logistics where I loaded up airplanes, did air transportation for about 4 or 5 years there, moved over to the maintenance side of the house, did some analysis work there, and then now I'm doing security forces, which is our version of military police, for those who are unfamiliar with that. And so I've kind of been making my way up the ranks in that side of the career field. As far as like deployments and stuff, I stay active, pretty much all my career. So I've had overseas deployments to the Middle East, some favorable locations, done border patrol, some other operations that, it's just been fun and very helpful when it comes to humanitarian efforts. But 16 years and counting.
Well, what made you get involved in the military? Was it something from did you do ROTC in high school, or what made you get involved with the military?
It's kind of weird. So I did not do ROTC. When I actually had my daughter, I was kind of running around just different little jobs, working at warehouses, UPS, packing services, stuff like that. And when I had my daughter, it was a wake-up call in life. You got to get your life together, and it's no longer about yourself. And so
right.
I was looking for a career, something that was going to have some stability and obviously provide some benefits and obviously maybe help me self-reflect and do some different things in life and change up my ways. So
right.
I joined and it's helped. So it's been, I would say, like the second best thing that's happened to me in my life. So.
Right. Well, before you became an owner, you were an athlete at one time. I know that you went to the Louisville Central High School.
That's correct.
And you were a football player there. Tell us about your athletic career when you were in high school.
All right, so I played 3 years at Central High School and had a great career there. So I was a DB and a receiver and a starter. So played there, and then afterwards I went to Kentucky State to play football and played 1 year there. Kind of fell behind on my grades because I decided to be the campus clown for a couple of years after that. And so I couldn't play. But at that point, that's when I did have my daughter. And it was like, okay, all right, I have to get my life together because I wasn't doing too swell in school, wasn't playing football anymore. And then at that point, I kind of went over to the SemiPro of things for SemiPro Football. So we had a couple of local teams here in Louisville. And I jumped on a team, played, I want to say about 3 or 4 years on the semi-pro side. Had a pretty good career. But then at some point, it was just like, hey, you got to hang it up because it's not going to happen.
Let me ask you this. Tell us about semi-pro, because I know I'm a former basketball player, so a lot of people understand semi-pro basketball. I know people understand semi-pro baseball. But I know a lot of people, I talked to people about this interview today, and they had no concept of what semi-pro football was like. So give us a little example of what it was like for you.
So with semi-pro football, a lot of the guys, they're paying to play. So you might pay a team fee of $150 or $200, and it should take care of your uniform and any other team expenses, and you guys play a regional schedule. So I played for a couple of teams that were here in the local area. Some teams the Louisville area may be familiar with is like the Louisville Bulls. They were around for about 22 years before they kind of went under. So I did that, like I said, for 3 or 4 years. And I mean, you really don't get too much notoriety. I mean, the biggest takeaway that you kind of get from that, you can get some film and send that up. Maybe it can get you into college if you have some more eligibility there, or you can send it off to a professional team, whether that's arena football or the CFL or going overseas. Maybe if you're lucky, an NFL scout, and you can get picked up from there. But that's very like few and far if that happens. But the college piece, if you do have college eligibility to play, that is more frequent of actually occurring than going to a professional team. So when I did that, I realized I wasn't going pro. So it was a reality check. So at that point, it was like, all right, I know I want to be like connected to sports, and I know that I have a background in business. That's where I married the two together. And then I started getting my feet wet from just playing to going into the sports management and sports ownership piece.
Well, I want to get to that in a second, but I know that unless you are Jerry Jones' grandson or son, no one really wakes up saying that I'm going to be an NFL owner or professional sports team's owner. What made you come up with that idea to be an owner?
I'm someone I would consider myself to be like very detailed oriented. I like to strategize. I like to look at the overall bigger picture, and that's the piece that you're going to get from like I say, a GM or a management level or an ownership level. And there's two things. I mean, when you start talking about ownership, especially when it comes to sports, you can be an owner, but then you have to look at being an operator. And for me, I'm more of, hey, I want to be that owner and operator. So what Jerry Jones tries to be.
Well, I hope you're successful at it as well. But you talk about being a GM, and I know that you are the GM and owner of the team as well. When you came in here today for the interview, you had just talked about ticket sales. I know you have a game coming up this week. So you talk about ticket sales. You talk about the day-to-day things. Tell us what it's like, especially starting out right now, what it's like to be the GM of the team, and what it's like day-to-day. Not only knowing what it's like day to day, but how do you couple that with the work they're already doing as far as in the military?
Okay. So with me doing both, that's really a time crunch challenge. I mean, I'm used to having the pressure and working very long days. So like for me, I will work one job for 13 hours and then I turn around and I'll come in for 8, sometimes 12 hours on the football side. It is what it is. But for my day-to-day operations, I have to oversee the ticket sales. I have to see the marketing, the promotions, getting in our staff workers, the operational side of things from the business office to the football operations to your game day operations. So making sure that you have the right pieces in play for each of those faucets, and making sure folks are doing their job, making sure that we're meeting any type of goals, sales, quotas, all that. I have to stay on top of that. I have to track it. So in addition to making sure others are doing that, sometimes you have to, get your hands dirty and do all that good old stuff as well. So I have to be well versed and knowledgeable of all the different items and pieces that, kind of make this entire wheel go. And like I said, a lot of times I have to be the guy that may be passing out the flyers or making the phone calls for sales, or, just doing packaging, doing shipping, whatever that may be. Here as of late, like you said, we're getting ready for our first inaugural game for the upcoming season this Saturday. And I'm at the arena tearing off and putting on dash wall stickers, looking at turf, pulling up, turf pad or just whatever the case may be. I'm doing it. So it's just one of those things you just have to do it.
Well, let me ask you a question. I know that you're just starting and you seem to be a hands-on kind of guy to begin with. As you continue to grow, do you anticipate that you'll still be hands-on, or are you going to say, okay, this is your baby. I get it. This is your baby. Are you going to be that kind of guy that still stays hands-on, or are you going to be able to give to somebody else to do specific things, or what's your goal with that?
So hopefully I will not have to be hands-on down the future, but you can sit back and actually enjoy the reward of your hard work. But right now, and that's the hardest part. We're paving the road right now, and it's always easier to just ride on a paved road versus doing a paving. And so because it's my baby, I'm going to help pave that road. And then one day when we transfer over that continuity book to whomever that takes that over, I'll be able to sit back and just relax. But I'll still know, hey, probably shouldn't be doing this, or you probably should be doing this like that.
Right.
I could sit there and eyeball that, but I do hope one day very soon that I could sit back and just enjoy the fruits of the labor.
Now, I remember talking to you a long time ago when you had this idea. I know your resume lists you as the first person of color to own a professional sports team in Louisville. I understand that. How important was it for you to have minority ownership? Because I know you're the majority owner, but you also have some other owners that are people of color as well. How important was that for you?
Very important. So part of just how I can give my contribution to society, I mean, obviously we can take a look and see what's going on across the country, all over the world or whatnot, but just the issues that are hitting us here socially or economically, as it pertains to race and economics. So typically when it comes to professional sports teams, you do not see people of color on the ownership side. You might see it a little bit here and there on the management side, but that's not the generational wealth piece. And so as we talk about race and the different disparities, I mean, we got to look at, everything. You can't just look at policing or just the justice system. You got to kind of look at the DNA of why are we in the position that we're in, and all those different variables and elements that why we're there, why we can't move out of it, or just whatever the case may be. And I'm originally from New York City and, the projects, Queensbridge projects. Mm-hmm. I lived in Harlem. And I determined I'm not going to be a product of my environment and use that as an excuse as to why I cannot achieve what I've achieved so far and what I plan to achieve, moving forward. So hopefully that can serve as an example to others. But I mean, just kind of going back to why it's important for us to have more minority owners is to create that generational wealth piece. We start here, we plant this seed, we grow this tree, and if I die, or my other stakeholders, if they die or they pass off, you have something to pass off to your offspring. Or even if it's not your kids, a family member or someone you trust, you can pass that share down, and it's something for the lifetime. And then we just look at the evolution of sports in history. I mean, if you go back to the Roman era, sports has always been big. It's always been something that has always brought the world together, no matter what type of conflict is going on. And the stock of sports always skyrockets. Mm-hmm. So the NBA started at a certain point, the NFL started at a certain point, and it's a close, small niche family or a few of families that you have there, 30 families or 32 families, depending on which league you're talking here. So this can be done on the arena football level or the indoor football level, and the price is good now to get in, but then when it skyrockets and that valuation skyrockets, hopefully we're sitting at that table of, hey, this is a multi-million-dollar, hopefully billion-dollar, industry, and we're a part of that versus, oh, how do you get in? Or it's almost impossible for us to get in when, just typically your Black community don't have those type of financial resources to buy in down a later stretch. Right.
Well, I would say this. We all know that football is a male-dominated sport simply because of the people that participate in, but it has a wider audience than just male. It's interesting to me that you have more than a couple of women that are actually on your ownership and your leadership team. Tell us about that.
So again, we wanted to hit on diversity. So again, not just about the race, but gender. So you want some type of equality. You want to see more women that are in different positions that you don't normally see as it pertains to management and ownership with professional sports. And so we want to have a good diverse group, and it's not to say that everything is totally exclusive to people of color or just males or females or whatever the case may be. We want to see the diversity, and that we actually want good partners with us as well. So we don't want to just take someone's money and just say, hey, you're a part of this group. Hopefully you offer something. You have something of, whether it's politically or from a business standpoint or just some type of network that will make sense. And you bring that to the table, and we all, are able to collab and kind of make this grow and gain some type of altitude that is really up there really quickly.
Well, I will say this. If I don't say the name T. Lynn Moore on this show, I will get in trouble. So shout out to T. Lynn Moore for being a part of this group as well. Well, let me ask this question. I know that a lot of people are familiar with the Louisville Fire football team. They were a former arena football team here in town. You are the second version of arena football. What would be the key to your success in making sure that this football team succeeds and goes forward, unlike the Louisville Fire football team?
All right, so the first thing is we put ourselves in a good position to partner with a great league and with the indoor football league. So I know we kind of bounced around over the last 2 years, or maybe I would probably say the last 12 to 15 months. We started off in the AAL, which was the American Arena League, not so much of a higher tier league. But we started there. We moved up to the NAL, to the National Arena League. We were there for a few months, and we had a great opportunity to then elevate to the IFL and get partnered with a lot of those organizations. The IFL, I'll tell you, it's phenomenal. You have a lot of great ownership groups, and there's a lot of news that'll be probably coming out in the next month or two from the league level of just some more advancements. There will be a national television deal that will be announced. It's going to kind of be one of the first of its kind that has been done in a very long time. Not even the AFL has accomplished the type of deal that we're about to announce. So that's the first thing. So you want to be in a league that is stable and that's going to be around for a long time. The IFL's been around 13, 14 years. Actually, the longest running league as it stands now. Then the next, we set ourselves up at a great venue. I was going to
ask you why was it important for you to be at the Yum Center.
Yes,
but go ahead.
Yeah, so you got the KFC Yum Center, state-of-the-art arena. We actually have the biggest arena out of all the teams in the league. So I actually thought at one point the Arizona Rattlers, who plays at Talking Stick Resorts Arena, where it's the same facility as the Phoenix Suns, we actually have 5,000 more seats than they do. So, and some other great venues that are out there in the league as well. But I mean, you're talking a state-of-the-art arena. It's centrally located downtown. You got the soccer stadium not too far away, the baseball stadium not too far away. And when you look at just what most of your major cities with major league sports, those stadiums are downtown. And that's really what you want to do to help obviously grow the city economically in your downtown location. So you have that. We got a great coach. We brought on Coach Mark Stout. He's been coaching arena and indoor football since 1995. We have Coach Custer, who's been coaching since 1994, another great coach. We've got Anthony Payton, who actually started his playing career here with the Louisville Fire about 20 years ago. And he's, evolved to being a coach, one of the greatest offensive geniuses out there. And, we brought him on. So we have a lot of great coaches. And what that does, it trickles down to them guys recruiting great players. So when you set yourself up from the top to have a great setup, a great foundation, it just rolls downhill on all the other pieces. So,
I see the Chris Redmond's involved with this as well.
Yes, we brought in Chris Redmond. So, I mean, it's a great football name, family name in the city of Louisville. And he's done a phenomenal job as far as like making a lot of different connections and trying to get this stuff off the ground. And I mean, he's got a great deal of connections and a huge network. And like I said, with his name as well, I mean, it just holds a lot of weight in the city of Louisville. So the Redmond family in general.
Okay. Well, tell us about the team. I appreciate the management. I appreciate the ownership group, but people are going to come out to see the players and see the team play itself. Tell us about the team itself, and after that, tell us about some of the competition you'll play against. So tell us about the team. Who's going to be on the field?
Okay, so we just wrapped up a training camp. Those guys came in for about 2 weeks, and they practiced every day, and it was a great training camp. So we brought in folks from all over the country. These guys, they either played some type of college ball. We have some folks that showed up to a tryout. They may not have had college experience, but they still made the training camp roster. So anytime we do hold open tryouts, we actually do select players from the local area, or I think one of them, he actually drove from Atlanta to the tryout, and he made the cut. And he actually made the team after the camp. But so you have players that are coming in from all over the country, and they have college experience, CFL experience. some NFL experience. We had 4, I think, that we brought from the University of Louisville. So we had Gerard Holloman, Rodney Nat, London Iacopo, and I think Darius Smith. So, we had some, a little bit of mix of U of L flavor in there. Not to say that we have to have U of L players, but it was some that were in there. And so, I mean, it's a mix of a lot of different personalities, a lot of different skill sets that are brought in, and they're going to duke it out, try to make the team, and hopefully, we're going to see that output next week, or this weekend, should I say, of that hard work. Now, to the point of the competition we're playing.
Right.
So it's a tough one coming up first. So we have the Massachusetts Pirates. Mm-hmm. So Jawad, he does a great job in bringing in a lot of former NFL players.
Okay.
So 2 of his latest signees he has is Martavius Bryant, played with the Steelers, a notable mm-hmm. name. And then he has Terrence Williams that played with the Cowboys. Mm-hmm. So he's got a lot of studs. One year he had Dexter McCluster, playing out there. So, you got a Pro Bowler just,
right.
Lining up playing this type of ball. But he has a lot of, just huge, like NFL guys that are out there. A lot of guys that played Power 5, D1 ball at your major big league conferences at the NCAA level. And so you can only expect, a lot of great, action out there with that type of physical pedigree from a football standpoint to be out there on the field. And they have good coaches. And as far as the league itself, all the teams have really great coaching staffs. So I always kind of say it's almost like any team's year, any team's game, like any one of us could probably win it all. I always say it probably comes down to your coaching staff first, and then, mm-hmm. Do you have the players to complement it? But if you have good coaches and they can coach up a guy, even if he didn't have much experience, and he can coach you up really quick and teach you how to play the indoor football game, mm-hmm. it's going to go a long way.
Now let's talk a little bit about COVID, because it's my understanding that you tried to get this started last year, and COVID kind of derailed you a little bit. What were some of the challenges of the virus that caused this team to basically what happened last year that helped you into going to this year, if you will?
So last year we were going to start, and literally 2 days before we were supposed to play our first game, COVID became a deal, and they canceled, sports across the country. It was bittersweet, so it kind of sucked because a lot of money that went into making that first game happen to make that season start, we were out. So mm-hmm. we didn't get to recoup that, and we didn't have a season. And how you make your money from this is your event dates. Mm-hmm. But fortunately, not too much was put into it. We were supposed to play at Freedom Hall. We obviously, we got all the logistical items here to, make the event happen. But last year, it was supposed to be more of a, hey, let's get the vehicle moving, show the city that arena football was coming back to the Louisville market, and we scale from there. So the league that we were in at the time, we were only actually going to play just literally 8 games throughout the season, which is half of what we're doing now. So as far as the cost, it wasn't going to be as much. But again, there wasn't a huge expectation of, hey, we got to have so much in ticket sales or so much in sponsorships. It was more of a manageable price point to just kind of, hey, pay for the operation and just kind of let that build for 2021 and beyond. Well, because we did shut down, the sweet part of it is it kind of gave us a year or so to go ahead and prep for 2021. And at that point now, you can kind of go after sponsors well in advance, start kind of doing more of the planning and logistics and the setup for the next season. Now, the challenge in that is we weren't the only ones affected with COVID. So you have different businesses that are, shutting down. They're trying their hardest to stay alive. And then you had all the social injustice impact that took place here with Breonna Taylor and just other stuff that took place throughout the country. So that was more so the challenging portion of this extra time that we had, because you couldn't get folks to come to the table. And it was very hard. So fortunately for us, we were still kind of able to make a few connections here and there where we needed to and get to the point of where we're at. So as far as like picking up investors, picking up sponsors, we signed U of L Health as our title partner and our medical deal partner. I mean, they could have easily just said, hey, well, we're affected by COVID just the same. but they came to the table. And we had, I believe, Texas Roadhouse has come to the table as well, and a few others. So it's picking back up as we get closer, but it was very challenging.
Let me ask you a question, because let me just be frank. You have competition.
Yes.
Not only competition for sponsors, but you also are competing with other teams like the Riverbats, the Louisville soccer team, Louisville FC. You have the women's soccer team that's playing here now. Why is it important for the community to support your team? Why do you feel now it's important for them to support the team that you're owning that right now?
Well, number one, they should support, because if you want the market to grow, you want it to be bigger. Sports is the way. It helps with tourism dollars. We don't want to be circulating our own dollars. We want other folks coming out of town to bring in, dollars and help with the economics here, going to the restaurants, staying in our hotels, buying our merchandise and seeing our city and supporting all the other venues that are here. But as far as a competition standpoint, we actually do not view like all the other sports teams as so much competition. We feel like each of these sports has its own niche, and you have to have more to offer to, the city members here, your fans here, even the surrounding counties. So I think there's enough room for soccer, for arena football, for baseball, or whatever else that may be taking place from April to August. And we actually try to reach and collab with those sports teams that you named. So, which, fans may see over the next year or two, some different promotion items that, hey, you'll see all three sports in a collaboration there, marketing or from a sales standpoint. So I think just for us, when we talk about social injustice, and if people say, hey, you want to get behind, the cause, well, here's one. Here you have a Black-owned business that is doing something to help not only from an economic standpoint, but just being a community relations pillar as well. Get behind it, so, and there's plenty of ways you can get behind it, not just from simply sponsoring. We have different programs where we do like a Ticks for Kids to help, kids of opportunity that we can help. We have that. And then just simply coming out to the games. We have our Tailgate Fest. Doesn't cost you a dime to come out to that over at 4th Street Live before every game. We dub it X Fest. So folks can come out. They got live music. You can go and eat at the restaurants there and take place in the Kid Zone and just tailgate, your typical college game day type tailgate. So there's different ways that you can support, and just know that, hey, this is Black owned and you can get behind it.
So if a person wants to get season tickets, tell us how do we do that?
All right, if you want to get season tickets, you can call our offices at 502-907-6030 or email us at extremefootball@louextreme.com, and that extreme is with an X, no E in front. And or you can just give the Yum Center box office a call, and they'll point you in our direction. So,
well, I know that you're a former athlete, but you also said you like to get your hands dirty. Do I ever expect to see you with a jersey on at all, or?
You will see me looking as fly as you with the suit and tie.
so I guess I can't get a jersey either.
I got to keep you looking fly as me. So.
I appreciate it. Mr. Cole, I want to thank you for joining our program today. It's very interesting what you're trying to do, and we are going to support you. We believe it's very important for you to be in this community. We enjoy what you're trying to do, and we're going to be behind you 100%, man, to make sure that this thing happens for not only you, but for the community as well.
Awesome.
As we close, I like to always tell people it's not a matter of what you say. It's not a matter of what I think. Always, at the end of the day, it's a matter of perspective. Thanks for joining us today.